Hey everybody, Mr. Regan here. And up to this point, you've been exploring selection pressures and how that's going to be affecting our malaria parasites. And today we're going to be looking at playing a malaria game that's going to help us understand what happens inside the human body as malaria exists and encounters different drugs. The goal is to see what happens to that population as we introduce it to different drug treatments so you can begin making the best decision about what treatments you want to give your patients. So we're going to be looking at understanding the rules of this malaria game and how to record our population data in the next set of tasks. So here's the idea. This is called the malaria drug resistance game. And you're going to be giving a starting population of parasites with different drug resistant traits and applying some anti-malaria drugs to lower the population. After you apply the drugs, the surviving parasites are going to reproduce and create one offspring, similar to what you read about in that article. Some of the offspring will be like their parents, and some of them will have mutations for new drug resistance. And as we continue to apply these drugs over many generations, we're going to see the effects in the population. So we're going to have we're going to have one parasite populations with three sets of variations. We're going to have our green parasites that have no drug resistance. We're going to have our blue parasites that have low drug resistance, and our purple are going to have high drug resistance. So here's the game objective. You're going to complete 10 rounds within our game where you record how the anti-malaria drug affects our parasite population. In each of our 10 generations, the population will be, number one, introduced to the anti-malaria drug to help lower their population. Okay, so we're going to introduce the drugs to the population. The second thing that's going to happen is they're going to survive. Those that survive are going to reproduce and have one offspring with either similar traits to their parents, so that drug resistant traits, none, low, or high, or they'll have a mutated trait. Last but not least, they're going to change the distribution, or this will change the distribution, for each of the three types of variations found within the generations. So we're going to start with our population. We'll have a certain number of each type: greens, blues, and purples. We're going to apply the drug. Some will die, some will survive. They'll reproduce. When they reproduce, they might have a mutation or the same traits. And then we're going to record the population traits. So how many blues, purples, and greens we have. Now, these are our objectives. So let's go ahead and look at the rules for how we play the game. When you get to task number 5 here, you're going to have your starting population. Your starting population is going to have 0 purple, 4 blue, and 8 green. These are the number of parasites with those no, low, and high resistance levels. And here's how this is going to work. We're going to start with that population, and we're going to apply the drug. Now, the drugs have specific rules. Those rules are as follows. Any green or group of green parasites are going to have 3 out of the 4 die that you have. So I have 8. 3 out of the 4 are going to die. So that means 6 are going to die. You're going to have to do a little math here, okay? And you're going to have to figure out, if I have 8, 3 out of the 4 are going to die. So 8 is 2 groups of 4. So 3 out of the 4 are going to die, and the other 3 out of the 4 are going to die. That leaves me with 2 alive. Then for the blue, 1 out of the 4 will die. So I have 4, so that's easy. So the next is going to be 3. And purple is 0 out of 4 will die. They will not be affected by the drug. Well, I have 0, so that means I'm going to continue to have 0. Now, we have our population after we applied the drugs and the death rates that we see here. This is the population that survived after and had the specific resistant variations. So now they're going to reproduce. We're going to add a survivor to the next generation, and we're going to add one offspring for every survivor. So I have 2 green offspring, but for each of those 2, I need to do my offspring trait roll. If I roll an odd, the parent trait is going to be found in the new offspring. If I roll an even, so number 2, it'll be a green trait, a 4 will be a blue trait, and a 6 will be a purple trait. The dice is right here. It's a quick video. So here's how it works. I have 2 that survived. So that means I'm going to have 4 survivors. 2 are the parents, 2 are the offspring. So I know that I'm going to have no less than 2 low resistant bugs, but 2 of them are going to be offspring. I have 3 blue. But I know that 3 offspring are going to be had. So remember, they double. Now, for each of the offspring, so I have 3 offspring here, 2 offspring here. I got to roll my dice. So for my green ones, I'm going to click the start button. And when I'm ready, I'm going to click on the video and pause the video. Oops. You might need to bring it to there. You know what? Let me just do this. Let me just expand it so it's a little easier to click. There we go. Click, pause, I rolled a 2. A 2 means it's going to have a green trait. So now one of my parent survivors is green. So that's 3. I still have 1 offspring. So I'm going to roll my dice for my other offspring. Hit the pause button. It's a 5. 5 is odd, so it keeps the parent trait. So this becomes 4 green parasites. Now let's do blue. I have 3 offspring, so I got to roll the dice 3 times. 6. Oh, it becomes purple. So now I'm going to add 1 purple survivor. So that's 2 offspring left. 3. 3 is an odd number, so it keeps the parent trait. So that becomes 4 blue, and I have 1 more offspring left. Roll for that. 6. Oh, another purple. So I now have, after reproduction, 2 purple, 4 blue, 4 green. So my new population, I'm going to take this. It's going to be my new population for generation 2. So it's going to be 2, 4, and 4. So that's how I'm going to go from generation to generation. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to apply the drug here. My death rates, I got to do a little math, figure out how many are going to die after the drug. Then I'm going to reproduce. I should have my survivors and my offspring. I roll my dice for my offspring. If I roll odds, they have the parent traits. So greens will have greens, blues will have blues, purples will have purples. If I roll an even number, they're going to mutate and have these traits based on the rolls 2, 4, and 6. You're going to do that for test 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, getting all the way to generation 10 to see what would happen with our malaria parasites as we apply the same drug over and over and over again. So after many generations, what's going to happen when we apply the same drug over and over and over again? If you have questions, reach out. But at this point, ask yourself, do I understand the rules of the game? And do I understand how to record the population data? If yes, put your X in green. If either of those things are confusing, or even if you'd like to do a round with me so you feel confident, call me over. Let's do it together. And let's see what happens with our bugs as we apply different drugs.